Weeds are the uninvited guests to every garden, but they're not just there to ruin your weekend. They're trying to tell you something. Yep, weeds are your soil's way of waving a red flag. Each weed only shows up where the conditions are perfect for it to thrive. So if you'll learn what those weeds are saying about your soil, you can make changes to stop them from crashing your garden party year after year. I'm Sunny from Sunnyside Soil, and we'll go over 5 weeds and how to fix your soil so that these pesky plants are a thing of the past. First on our list happens to be the hardest to get rid of, and that's bindweed. So if you can master getting rid of this weed, the rest of your list will be easy for you. Bindweed is telling you that the soil is compacted and it's low in nutrients. It also loves the sun, so the best way to get rid of it is to cut the root of the bindweed a couple of inches below ground. Then add about 2 inches of compost or worm castings. We like to use our own Sunnyside worm castings because they're packed with microbial life that compacted soil desperately needs. Finally, top it all with about 2 inches of mulch. The castings will add nutrients back into the soil, while the combined 4 inches of castings and mulch will block out the sun the bindweed craves. Next on our list is Canada thistle. This is the weed in your garden that is super prickly and hurts when you try to pull it up. So wear thick gloves when handling it. This weed is telling you that your soil is low in organic matter and probably too alkaline. You can fix your soil by adding good compost. Third on the list is cheatgrass. This grass is highly invasive in the American West. It grows tall, dries out, and is often the ignition for wildfires. So you'll be doing everyone a favor by controlling this weed in your garden. When you see cheatgrass, it's telling you, hey, there's nothing here to compete with me. I rule this bare patch. To fix the problem, keep the soil covered with a cover plant or a mulch, or plant something that you actually enjoy there. Remember, Mother Nature hates to be naked, and cheatgrass is happy to be the first to fill in that bare spot. The fourth pain in the butt weed on my list is kochia. Kochia is telling you that your soil might be too salty, too dry, or over-fertilized. Now, you know, as an organic gardener, I'm always going to tell you to stop using chemical fertilizer, and kochia is a great example why. It thrives in soil that has low microbial life. And you know what kills microbial life? Chemical fertilizers. To fix your soil, feed it with healthy compost or worm castings. You know, the good kind that's full of life, like we make here at Sunnyside Soil. The last plant on my list, I don't even consider a weed, but it's the one that I get asked most often about how to get rid of, and that's the dandelion. Dandelions are telling you that your soil is compacted and lacks calcium. But if you're patient, dandelions actually fix those problems for you. Their strong taproot breaks up soil compaction, and their leaves are full of calcium. So if you just chop and drop the dandelion before it gets to the seed stage, it'll do all the work for you. Now, if you're not the patient type when it comes to dandelions, you can add compost and a calcium-rich amendment like bone meal to your soil instead. So the next time you see a weed, even a cheerful little dandelion, take a moment before you pull it. It might be trying to help you fix your soil. Not sure if your soil is ready for planting? Before you drop another seed or transplant another plant, let's talk about the most important and most overlooked step in gardening: soil testing. I'm Sunny from Sunnyside Soil, and in today's video we'll show you how to test your soil the right way. Step by step, no confusion, no guesswork, so let's dig in. Healthy plants start with healthy soil, but just looking at it, you won't be able to tell if it has the nutrients your plants need. Soil testing gives you the real answers about what's underground, like your pH level, your nutrient content, and even your soil structure. It's how you avoid wasting money on the wrong amendments or wondering why your plants just won't thrive. It's simple, affordable, and it makes a huge difference. A good lab soil test will give you data on pH. Is your soil too acidic or alkaline? Macronutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Organic matter percentage. And micronutrients like calcium, magnesium, and sulfur. This info tells you what your soil needs and what it already has plenty of. Okay, so here's how you collect a proper soil sample. Use a clean trowel or soil probe, no rust or residue. I like to use this apple core. Figure out the zones in your garden that you want tested. For example, in my garden, one zone would be in-ground planting, while the second zone would be a raised bed. You might also want a zone where persistent weeds are a problem. But keep in mind, labs will charge you for each zone that you send in, so don't go crazy breaking your yard into 1,000 zones. Now, most labs want 2 cups of soil per zone for their testing, so break your zone into 4 separate sections and take a half a cup of soil from each section. Combine the soil in a clean bucket, mix them well, and let it air dry for 24 hours on a paper towel. Please don't believe the myth that you have to cook it in the oven first. That just destroys some of the nutrients and will skew the test results. After it has been air dried, scoop it into a labeled bag. Now, your lab might send you a container for you to place your sample, so check with them first before mailing it. Label it by area, like veggie bed, flower bed, lawn, whatever helps you keep track of where it's from. Send your sample to a trusted lab. Your county extension office is a great place to start. There are also independent labs that specialize in organic or regenerative gardening, and there are even labs that will assess the microbiology in your soil as well. Just make sure the lab you choose will give you recommendations based on your results, not just the raw data for you to decipher. Once you get your results, use them. You might need to add compost, nitrogen, sulfur, or just leave it alone. Look, soil testing may not feel exciting, but it's the smartest move you can make for a healthy garden. Your soil is more than just dirt, it's alive. Alive, do you hear me? In fact, there are more organisms in this tablespoon of soil than there are humans on Earth. Soil is the foundation of your garden. Hey, I'm Sunny from Sunnyside Soil, and today we're diving into why soil health matters and 5 common mistakes new gardeners make that could be hurting their soil without even realizing it. Soil health is about more than how it looks. It's about how it functions. Good soil has structure, holds moisture, drains well, and is teeming with life like bacteria, fungi, and yes, my favorite, worms. When your soil is healthy, your plants grow faster, need less water, and fight off disease more easily. Think of it as a whole underground ecosystem that feeds your garden. Unhealthy soil leads to poor growth, pest problems, and wasted time and money. You might be fertilizing and watering and still not getting the results, all because the soil isn't working with you, or rather, you're not working with the soil. But the good news, you can fix it, and it starts by avoiding these common mistakes. Mistake number 1, over-tilling. Tilling destroys soil structure and disrupts microbial life. Unless your soil is totally dead, or to put it another way, in dirt, skip the tiller and go for the no-dig method instead. What exactly is no-dig? So, obviously you have to do some digging, like when you go looking for your potatoes or you're transplanting your favorite tomato variety. But basically, the philosophy of no-dig is to continually add layers of compost and organic matter to your soil. This protects soil structure, preventing erosion and compaction. Beneficial soil organisms thrive in this undisturbed environment, improving soil fertility naturally. No-dig reduces weed pressure as the compost suppresses weed growth. Water retention is improved, meaning that you water less frequently. Overall, this method leads to healthier soil and more abundant harvests. And leave a comment if you want me to get into the weeds, pun intended, about the science behind why tilling is so destructive. Mistake number 2, not testing your soil. Guessing leads to overcorrecting. Always test before you add amendments. For example, if your soil already has enough nitrogen and you add more not knowing, you will burn your plants with an excess of nitrogen. A basic soil test tells you exactly what's missing or not. Mistake number 3, more isn't better. Adding wood chips, sand, or even compost in the wrong way can backfire. For example, you'll need more sand than your back can handle to counter the heavy clay soils you complain about every summer. Mistake number 4, leaving your soil bare. Mother Nature hates to be naked. Bare soil will soon be overrun with annoying weeds. It also bakes in the sun, erodes in the rain, and loses life fast. Keep soil covered with mulch or cover crops whenever you're not planting. And when you are, plant lower growing plants like radish with taller growing plants like tomatoes for more cover. Mistake number 5, ignoring organic matter. I've talked about the benefits of using organic matter earlier, but it's worth saying again. Organic matter, like compost and worm castings, feeds the microbes that feed your plant. If you're not building your soil, it's slowly dying. Improving your soil doesn't mean starting over. Start by adding high-quality compost or worm castings once or twice a season. Mulching with straw, leaves, or wood chips to retain moisture in the soil. Avoiding harsh chemical fertilizers. These chemicals kill the microorganisms that are working hard for your plants to thrive. And planting a mix of crops or cover crops to keep roots in the soil. These simple habits grow stronger, more resilient plants, and that means fewer problems, bigger harvests, and a garden that keeps getting better year after year. Remember, if you feed your soil will feed your plants. Did you have garden setbacks this year? Tell us in the comments so that we can commiserate together. And if you like this video and want to support the channel, the best way that you can do that is to head to sunnysidesoil.com, where you can get this awesome "It's Okay to Soil Yourself" t-shirt, along with other soil amendments. There are 3 things that every gardener should know about their soil: how much clay it has, how much silt it has, and how much sand it has. Clay is great because it holds nutrition and water pretty well. But the downside is that if it gets too dry, it's like trying to work in cement, and it gets a little too compacted, so the roots have a hard time to grow. Sand is great because it's porous and the roots have places to grow, but the water washes away all the nutrients and it gets dried out pretty fast. Silt is the perfect combination of the two, but too much silt in your soil makes it hydrophobic, which means that the water just kind of runs right off the top of it. Plus, it's pretty susceptible to erosion. The perfect combination is what we call loam. That's 40% sand, 40% silt, and 20% clay. Now, I'm going to show you an easy test that you can do at home to see what the soil ratios are in your garden and what we can do to fix it. Here's what you're going to need: a clear, clean glass jar with a lid like a mason jar, some of your own garden soil, and just make sure that you get rid of any of the large debris that's in it, water, a drop of dish soap, and a ruler. That's it. I'm going to add about half of this jar full of soil. We'll fill the rest of the jar with water. And then we'll just add a drop of dish soap, and that will help separate the materials. And now you got to shake it. And this is where your workout comes in handy, because you got to shake it for about 3 minutes to make sure that all the materials are separated. I won't make you watch the whole 3 minutes. Now that you're done shaking it, what you want to do is just set it and forget it. Now, some people will say to leave it overnight for the test to be finished. It kind of depends on how much material you have in your jar. My test took 4 days. But what you're looking for is layers of sediment in the jar. Sand is the heaviest, so it'll land on the bottom first. Silt is second heaviest, so the middle layer will be silt. And then clay is the lightest, so that one will be on top. And your water should be somewhat clear. Certainly not as murky as it is now. Okay, so my test is finally finished, and you can see the different sediment layers. And what you want to do is you take a ruler, and you actually want to use the centimeter side, because that will give you a larger number. Because what we're looking for is percentages, and the larger number will give you, it'll be easier to find the percentage. So my sediment is total is 7 centimeters. And the sand, which is at the bottom, it is about 4 centimeters. So 4 centimeters into 7 centimeters, that's about 57%. We'll just round it up and say 60% to make it easier. And then my silt is about 10%. And then my clay is about 30%. So I've got 60% sand
10% silt and 30% clay in my soil. I hear you saying, great, Sonny, but what does the percentages mean? Well, fortunately, there's somebody that was way smarter than me created a graph that we can calculate what our soil actually means. So let's take a look at what that means. So my soil was 60% sand, and you can see that sand is the graph at the bottom. So I'm going to start at 60. And then you want to find your next biggest number. In my case, that was clay, and it was 30% clay. So on the left-hand side, I'm going to move 60 up until I hit the 30, and you'll see right there that my soil is sandy clay loam. Sandy clay loam. So not terrible, but it's not perfect loam. So I've got some work to do. And remember, the perfect combination that we're looking for is 40% sand, 40% silt, and 20% clay. So hopefully by now you've gotten your test results back, but what do you do with them? Well, if it ended up that your soil was too sandy, what you want to do is add organic material, something like compost, worm castings, leaf mold, and just layer it on top of the sand. Eventually, it'll work its way down and create a perfect loam. If your soil ended up having too much silt, you also want to add organic matter, but you might also consider planting a cover crop because silty soil is susceptible to wind erosion. So that cover crop will help keep your soil in place. And if your soil is too clay heavy, well, you guessed it, adding more organic material is the solution. If you layer it on top, it'll work its way down and create a better loam. A question I get asked a lot is, can't you just add sand to clay to create a loam? And the answer is no, you can't. Because what happens is that the clay moves its way into the porous areas of the sand and really just creates cement. So there is no quick and easy fix to make your soil a perfect loam. And remember, there's really no such thing as bad soil. You just have to learn how to work with it, and you have to be patient. Good soil takes time to build. Let me know in the comments what kind of soil ratio you ended up having, and if you like this video, give us a subscribe.